How's it going, everyone? NeedleMouse here. In the wake of the announcement for a Sonic Generations remaster, I decided to play the only other 3D Sonic game that got a remaster, both on the Wii and its remaster. Sonic Colors. This is known as the game that brought Sonic out of the Dark Age, and the one which catapulted him into a brand new era that we now call the Meta Era. Sonic Colors was also praised on release, and was the highest rated 3D Sonic game since Sonic Heroes in 2003. But this game isn't what it seems, at least to me anyway. Just like with Generations, I thought I was getting an experience that could rival Sonic Unleashed, one of, if not my favorite Sonic game of all time. So I got Colors Ultimate for my PlayStation 4, and I played it. I came out more disappointed than when I did with Generations. When I first shared this opinion online, people told me to get the Wii version. Luckily for me, I had a Wii, and I did. I played the entirety of the Wii version of the game, and I came out just as disappointed as when I played Ultimate. This game is just not fun. Now, is it awful? No, absolutely not. In fact, Colors sits in my B tier. But I have seen numerous people praise the game, putting it into their S tier. Granted, not on the level of Generations, but still, it's quite a lot. So in today's video, let's talk about how Sonic Colors should be a federal crime. Okay, but before we start talking about Colors as a game, let's get a little bit of background. Federal crimes are offenses that specifically violate US federal laws, such as tax evasion, but actually, Sonic Colors. Sonic was in a pretty awful state at this point. While I personally think that Dark Age brought quite a bit of wonderful games like Sonic Unleashed and Sonic and the Black Knight, I would be lying if I said that the games during this time period were received well. In fact, they were the opposite of well received, with scores that would make any other 3D platformer keel over and, well, die. But Sonic, of course, didn't. Sonic team understood that they struck gold with the Sonic Unleashed formula. So for the next game, they dropped the Werehog, an obviously great change, and decided to have a Sonic game with the day stages from Sonic Unleashed. In Sonic Colors, you simply play as Sonic, not any Werehog or a sword in sight. Just Sonic. The game looks great for the Wii too. The environments are those imaginative Sonic levels that harken back to the classics. A space resort, a planet made of candy, and a roller coaster and asteroid field. It's kind of amazing. This game is looking amazing so far. So what's the catch? Well, the gameplay, well, it's certainly there. We still have the boost from Sonic Unleashed, as well as most of Sonic moves from that game, but something new got added. Because Sonic Team could not add a gimmick to make a game worse, could they? Alright, let's talk Wisps. Now, I haven't made it a secret that I think that the Wisps, well, they suck. There's some really fun ones, like Laser or Drill or Frenzy. But then there are some really questionable ones, or dumb ones, like Q, which fully stop your momentum to use it. Or Hover, which is the only way you're able to use the Lightspeed Dash and is extremely slow. Just like with Gens, the Lightspeed Dash has become extremely situational. But hey, at least the wall jump hasn't. The axe structures are next, and I have a lot of problems with them. Originally, Colors was supposed to have 2 acts per zone, but developers decided to pad out the game, because that worked before. So now, every zone has 7 acts, one of them being a boss act. I will say the first 2 acts, in fact the first 3 acts of most zones, are very fun and very enjoyable, and then the remaining couple acts are awful, and the bosses are stupid easy, but we'll get to the bosses later. Here's the problem. For those who have watched my video on Sonic Generations know that I don't like a lot of 2D in my 3D Sonic games. Some 2D is alright, in fact some 2D sections in 3D is really fun, but Sonic Colors is about 63% 2D. Yeah, mix that with the very blocky platforming that you see in the later acts of every zone, and the game becomes a slog to get through. There are so many sections of the game where you have to stand on a button and wait for the game to activate its gimmick. Ah yes, my favorite thing in a Sonic game. Waiting. But remember how I said that the platforming is very blocky? Let's talk about that for a second. All the time, it feels very blocky and less Sonic. In fact, many of those later acts, you have no chance to use the boost at all because all you're doing is platforming and barely using the boost, which sucks. Let's talk about these stages one by one, starting off with one of my favorites, Tropical Resort. What a cool zone. Like I said, Colors returned to a much more imaginative world that Sonic hasn't seen since Heroes. A gigantic interstellar amusement park? That's so awesome. The music is honestly one of my favorites in the game. And when it comes to the later acts, while they aren't fun, they aren't god-awful. But don't worry, they soon will be. Mountain is another amazing environment. A whole planet made of food. It's such a wacky and weird idea, but it's also very fun to go through. At least the first 3 acts anyway. After that, the level becomes a lot less fun. This is where we start to see that very blocky platforming that I mentioned before. And also, some levels are completely 2D. Yeah, that's not very good. Starlight Carnival is pure eye candy, unless you're playing Colors Ultimate, where it's like your retinas are being burned off, of course, but the stage's environment and the music are amazing. The level design is one of the worst in the game, though. There's just a lot of nothing as you see Sonic running, and you can't control it at all. It's just dumb. There's also a lot of blocky level design, and honestly, it just isn't fun. As much as I love Starlight Carnival and its music, the level design just does not deliver. Planet Wisp starts strong. Not only is the environment really cool, with the green planet mixing with the industrial feel, but the music is just fabulous. The level design in the first couple of acts is absolutely amazing and one of the best in the game, but the last couple follow the same formula, having very placid and boring platforming sections and being mostly 2D, which unfortunately take away the zone from being really good. Aquarium Park is the bane of my existence. I hate this zone with all of my heart. The thing is, the music is fire, and the idea of a gigantic aquarium is so absolutely amazing. But the level design is god-awful, and the levels are just not fun at all. But what can I say? It's a water stage, combined with very bad platforming sections and fully 2D levels. You are gonna get a bad zone in the first place, no matter what. But the next zone? My god, they picked it up. Asteroid Coaster not only has a lot of 3D, but the 2D sections are actually fun. I know, it's crazy, but this world has so many fun gimmicks and such great level design. The music is absolutely amazing, and the environment might be one of my favorites in the game. It's a roller coaster in an asteroid field. It's peak. But finally, we get to perhaps my favorite level in the game, Terminal Velocity. What a stage. Running down at Terminal Velocity, the best track in the game playing, and bonus, no wisps and no 2D. Yeah, it's peak. I can hear all of you clacking on your keyboards going like, but wait, this is literally Force's level design. And yeah, I see the criticisms, but first of all, this lasts for 2 minutes instead of the 30 seconds Force's levels, and also, the actual challenge is existent here. It's actually somewhat difficult, especially on your first playthrough. It's actually enjoyable, and the stakes are high, the music is great, and overall, Terminal Velocity might be one of my favorite levels, if not my favorite levels in Sonic Colors, period. Those are the stages, so let's talk about the 7th act of every zone, aka the bosses. God, what the hell are they? Not only are they stupid easy, but they all repeat twice. These are in fact worse than the ones in Gen, because at least those were all somewhat fun, and the gameplay was all original and wasn't reused. I'm not even going to go over them, honestly, because they all blend together. But hey, there is one boss that is actually really damn good. The final boss. This boss is actually fun and doesn't take 2 seconds to beat. It's fantastic. While it is quite easy overall, it is very fun. The music is fantastic, and the part where it ends with an ultimate colors blast is absolutely amazing. Too bad this boss is reused like there's no tomorrow. in the next couple of games. In the end, Colors starts great, becomes awful, but picks up the slack near the end. This overall runs out Colors to be a solid 6.5 to a 7 out of 10. It can be pretty fun, but it has a lot of issues in my eyes. One of the biggest being the story. This was the game that began a trend in future Sonic games to have an absolutely awful story. And this one is no different, as it sucks. This is one of Roger's first performances as Sonic, and it shows, cause the blue blur sounds really bad.
Eggman, I am going to save this planet, and I am going to free these aliens. No copyright law in the universe is going to stop me!
But in the beginning, I did say this game got a remaster. So let's talk about it for a brief second. Sonic Colors Ultimate. They made the game somehow worse. The gameplay hasn't changed at all, except for now, there are no lives. They made a baby game even easier. Pat in the back, Sonic team. Then we have the graphics. My eyes hurt. What is this? Why is he a fish? What? Yeah, they did not optimize this remaster at all. They removed the save files as well, which is stupid. And all the extra stuff that they added was a couple of reskins and nothing else. The soundtrack is also made worse, aside from My Go Terminal Velocity, which slaps even harder now. They made an arguably 7 out of 10 game, a solid 5.5 out of 10. Ultimate is genuinely bad, and it was one of the worst remasters in Sonic history, and makes something mediocre actually bad. I really hope they don't do the same with Generations, as I would love for that game to actually shine. In the end, Colors has great ideas, but pretty bad execution with very questionable decisions. The same can be said for its remaster, which could have made the game a lot better, but in fact, made it worse. Overall, the original Colors is a solid 6.5 to a 7 out of 10 game, while Ultimate is a 5.5 out of 10. But if you enjoyed Colors or Ultimate, that's completely chill. I respect your opinions. But that's everything for me, guys. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao!